Sunday night dramatic entertainment, we bring you Armchair Theatre.
Perfume. You say you came this morning?
Yes, sir.
Her Majesty's Inspector of Taxes, Cursed Fields District. Now, let's see. Sheet torn from a kid's notebook. Longhand ballpoint pen.
And a very interesting message.
Oh, I agree. You better watch Toby Dixon of Oast House Wood. He's cheating you lot proper. Just asked him. Asked him about the bank account in Marylebone. He ain't what you think.
You did what?
I told you. I sent them a note.
You sent them a note? Why?
Well, I wanted to get back here somehow. I wanted to hurt you.
Well, you've hurt me, my girl. You've hurt me where it hurts most, right in the wallet. Oh, shut up, Robbie. Let's get this straight. You sent an anonymous letter to Big Brother, the Inspector of Taxes, and you told him I've been milking the till, stuffing it away in my banking account in Marylebone.
The secret one.
I don't understand you, Robbie. We've had good times together, ain't we? I've bunged you a few quid now and then, bought you some nice clothes. We knew it couldn't last.
Well, I just sat here last night after you gone, just thinking about the fun we had. I couldn't believe it ended. I mean, you promised we were going to run away together.
Oh, do me a favour. How could I do a bunker, man, with a wife and 4 kids? I've got some sense of decency. You'd know it had to finish. I mean, only the other night she comes into my room, holds me jacket up and says, lovely perfume you're wearing, she says. It's all over you. You've been out with that tart from the shop again, ain't you?
Oh, you common little man.
Maybe I am a common little man, but I've made some money. Through you, it looks as if I'm going to lose it. Robbie, how could you shop me to them bloodsuckers? I don't understand you, really, I don't.
I'm sorry, Toby, but I loved you so.
I'd hate to be the man she hated. You sure you addressed that letter all right?
I'm pretty sure, Toby.
You would be.
Well, maybe they never got the letter. Maybe it just got lost on the way.
Yeah, maybe they thought it was a love letter. I should cocoa.
I'd like a quid for every anonymous letter I've ever had. I'm sorry, now, I didn't stick him in a scrapbook. What a catalogue of envy and spite it would have made. Little outbursts of malice from people with trivial minds. Do we know John Smith's got a Bentley? Or Tom Jones has a seaside house? Or so-and-so keeps a mistress in a flat in Curzon Street? Seldom anything that can't be answered by a smart aleck accountant. But there's always the odd one out, the one that brings the handsome harvest. You don't like it very much, do you?
No, sir.
Well, nobody likes anonymous letters, but we can't just chuck them in the wastebasket. Something I'd like you to remember is something you're in danger of forgetting. We're not concerned with morals or ethics, just the collection of revenue. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now, let's have a close look at this. Handwriting obviously disguised, some of the letters sloping backwards, which is a style common to women. And there's something else that's phony about it.
Phony?
Just listen to it again. You better watch Toby Dixon of Oast House Wood. He's cheating you lot proper. Just asked him. Asked him about the bank account in Marylebone. He ain't what you think. Now, that's supposed to be the letter of a semi-illiterate, but is it? A word like ask is misspelt asked, but a difficult word like Marylebone is spelled correctly. Doesn't ring true, does it?
Well, does it matter who wrote it?
Of course it matters. If there is a case, you want as complete a picture as possible. Got Dixon's file there?
Yes, sir.
Tobias Frederick Dixon.
The file begins in 1946 when he left the army. On the strength of his gratuity and a loan from his father, he opened up a men's outfitting shop in Macedonia Street. Recently, he opened a branch in Ironfounders Square. Calls himself the Paris London Luxury Men's Store.
Swanky.
Very.
Yes, I know the one in Ironfounders Square. Candy-striped beachwear, suede jerkins, and Italian suits with bun-freezer jackets. Teenage muck.
That's where the cash is today, sir.
Accounts prepared by a bloke called Cobb. J.T. Cobb, an intercontinental accountant. What the devil does that mean?
Sounds like a missile, doesn't he? A few of his jobs come in here, and we don't very much care for him.
I know the type. 6 months bookkeeping at LCC evening classes, advert in the local rag, books collected by plain van, and 20% on all income tax saved. Just look at the things. You ever see such a filthy mess? Badly typed spelling mistakes, meaningless certificate, and a great blob of ink with the word sorry penciled against it. Do you believe in instinct, East?
Instinct, sir?
A feeling about things.
I suppose so.
Something wrong here. I can feel it. Tax evasion's a national game, now. But you know, I still can't understand why it is that people who are incapable of the smallest theft are willing to rob us of thousands. You got an answer to that?
Well, you answered it yourself, sir. You said we weren't concerned with morals or ethics, only the collection of revenue. We can't have it both ways, can we?
At the moment, he's just a file with a number. Almost as anonymous as that letter we got this morning. But very soon now, that door will open, and there will be Toby. Fat or thin, Jew or Gentile, whatever he is, he'll come to life. And in the months to come, we shall get to know him very well indeed. Tobias Frederick Dixon. I wonder what you're up to now.
Are you going to ask them if they got it?
You can start raving bonkers. I'm going to phone Cobb, my accountant. He's been copping 200 nicked a year from me for doing nothing. Well, now he's going to work for it. Hello? Want to speak to Mr. Cobb. What, again? Charming. Well, you tell him as soon as he gets back to call Mr. Dixon. It's urgent.
Isn't he there?
Mr. Cobb is on holiday in Spain and won't be back till Thursday. Isn't it marvellous? Whole of the South Coast to choose from. He has to go to Spain. 11 o'clock. They'll be open.
The pubs.
The banks. I'm going to draw that money out right down to that last halfpenny.
Why?
I'm not going to give him a chance. Yeah, that bloke down the tax office is real odd stuff. A regular Dracula. Now, if anybody calls me, you don't know where I am.
But Toby...
So take care of that balance sheet. That's the figure I'm interested in, drawings. Total drawings for the year, 580 quid. Now, that's all Dixon has to live on. And mark you, he has to pay a life assurance premium out of that of £160. That leaves him 420, about 8 quid a week. Would you live on 8 quid a week?
Not unless we stopped eating.
According to his annual return, there's no other income, no investments, no rentals, no interest, just family allowances.
Which the wife would pinch.
Yes, of course. Oast House Wood, now, where is that?
Near Esher in Surrey.
Squirrels. Pretty name.
Pretty?
What's the net annual value?
70.
Yes, quite a size. What did he pay for it?
Well, we don't know. He bought a plot of ground for 700 quid in 56, built the squirrels, and occupied it late in 57.
We don't know what it cost him.
No.
You live at Thames Ditton, don't you?
Yes,
Nice?
we like it.
Not far from Isha.
Not far. Why?
Next time you take the wife out, have a run over to Old Tax Wood. Take a look at the squirrels. Nose around a bit. Form an impression. Put yourself in Dixon's place. Ask yourself what it costs you to live there. You know the kind of thing. If there's a double garage, it's 10 to 1 the wife's got a Momo. Or you might see a gardener or a nanny for the kids. Or a hard court at the back.
Or even a swimming pool.
Even a swimming pool. It's essential in these matters to know the style a man lives in. Starts an inquiry off on the right foot. You know what you're doing when it comes to talking about living expenses.
Yes, but we're not even sure that there is a case.
There's a case, all right. I can feel it right under my hand. But it's difficult. You see, for obvious reasons, we can't ask a direct question based on an anonymous letter. We need a lever. Something we can use to prise open the past. Omission of income from the annual return, that sort of thing.
Hang on a jiff. There is an omission. His wife received trustee savings bank interest this year. There we are. £33 it was, and he didn't return it.
Then we've got him. Now, you know the drill. Write to Dixon's accountant, tell him the wife's income's been omitted and we'd like a sight of the savings book. Tell him we'd also like to know the source of the deposits. And while you're about it, tell him we're reopening the trading accounts and we'd like an interview with Dixon. Put the wind up 'em.
Right, sir.
And East,
Yes, sir?
don't forget a peep at the squirrels.
No, sir.
You lost your blinking tongue? Toby?
One, two, three, four, five, £6,000.
Toby!
Now, just you try and flush that little lot out.
Toby!
Come in, Dux.
Are you all right?
I am now, darling. I am now. Blimey.
What's up?
Just thought I saw a geezer in a bowler hat. Looking over the wall.
You remember, sir? A letter from Cobb, Dixon's accountant. He's withdrawn from the case.
Just as I expected. A few digs in the right places and they run like frightened rabbits. Good. Now perhaps we shall get somebody more reliable on the job. Did you,
Yes, sir. I had a look at the squirrels.
posh?
Quite posh, big, with a fair bit of ground, and even got a tradesman's entrance.
And?
No, sir. No swimming pool.
Oh, pity.
No swimming pool.
East? You're keeping the best bit till the last.
A Bentley, sir. A Bentley in the drive.
Well done, East, well done. You weren't seen, were you?
Well, the board doesn't issue us with disguises, sir.
Anonymous letters, undisclosed accounts, scuttling accountants, posh houses, and Bentleys. East, we're on the scent. A good, strong scent.
Doubtless aware of the advantages of paying cash in a transaction of this nature. Note to hear from you in the very near future. Yours, etc., etc. Very good, then. Charming. Inspector. Yes. You're on the case. Blimey.
What's up?
It's one here from Cobb. Shut me and sent me a letter from the Inspector of Taxes.
Well?
Well? Blimey.
What have you been up to?
As if you didn't know.
You've been on the fiddle.
Of course I've been on the fiddle. Where do you think a place like this comes from? Can't live like this and pay taxes, can I now?
What with one thing and another. First it's that tart at the shop, and now this.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
You'll have an old man after you.
Oh, blimey, Emmy, I've told you once. I've given up. That's why I got this letter. Gives her the brush off and she goes and shops me to the taxman.
Serves you right.
Oh, it won't do you much good neither, will it?
What do you mean it won't do me no good?
Here, let's read this. Let's cast your little eyes on that, my girl. What do you think about that, eh? Your savings book. Your money.
And your problem.
What do you mean?
If you think I'm going to pay tax on my bit of savings...
Yeah, it was me that gave you that money.
Let her pay it. The one that had all the fun.
Blimey, listen to it.
Could this be bad, Toby?
It could.
There's quite a bit in my book, about 1,500.
Oh, chicken for you.
You mean it's worse than that?
That book is the least of my worries.
How much are you really worth?
Now, don't you start. It's bad enough having no Dracula on my tail without you starting.
What you going to do, boy?
Do? I'm going to find myself an honest accountant.
Mr. Dixon, I want you to listen very carefully. I want to make my position clear to you. I make it a rule never to act in these cases unless I'm put in possession of the fullest information. I want books, documents, personal records. I want access to everything that has the slightest bearing. I want complete candor. Is that understood?
Sure.
Well, first of all, there's a question of fee. I should insist on a substantial payment before beginning.
You get me out this chair, Mr. Elvin. I'll see you all right.
Ah, yes, that's what they all say. That's what they say when they're worried, when they can't eat or sleep for the anxiety of it all. But it's a different story when the case is concluded. If it goes the wrong way, they resent paying the accountant, and if he gets them out of trouble, they tell him the fee can't be that much because there was no case to answer anyway.
Bit of a cynic, ain't you?
No, Mr. Dixon, no. Just a man with a great deal of experience.
Well, don't keep me in suspense. How much?
Well, I should want 300 on account.
300?
Well, how much do I have left after paying tax on that? Now, come on, you tell me.
Well, I done it. Well, there's an angle there. Tell you what I'll do. I'll give you 150 cash. Now, that helps you and it helps me too, doesn't it?
Well, that's a very revealing suggestion, Mr. Dixon.
But no dice.
No dice.
Well, I can see you've got heavy overheads.
Oh, yes, indeed, yes. The rent here alone. Do you realize that this office space is leased to me at so much a square foot? I often sit here and think about that. That chair you're occupying, for example, about, what is it now, 4 square feet, I suppose? Do you realize how much that space costs me per annum? And that cabinet behind me there doing absolutely nothing.
Well, you could try moving it.
I'm not joking, Mr. Dixon.
Oh, very well, Mr. Elvin. I'll write you a check. Elvin, Erickson and Partners, 300...
Guineas.
You said pounds.
Oh, it's always guineas in the profession.
See, I'm in the wrong game.
Yes, but if you wouldn't mind just signing it there.
What a stupid slut I am. That's no good.
Well, I don't follow.
That check, I've drawn it on the marrowbone account, the one I told you about in the blower.
Well, I still don't see it.
Well, there's nothing in it, nothing. No cash. As soon as Robbie tells me what she's done, I've nipped round and drawn a lot out.
Was that why?
No, it was very silly, but I got to do a bit of a flap.
Well, where is it now?
In a biscuit tin.
Biscuit tin?
Yeah, they're very good, you see. You can bung them under the floorboards and it keeps the notes nice and crisp and dry.
I'll remember that. By the way, Mr. Dixon, who is this Miss, wait a minute now, where is it? Miss Robbie, An employee?
Well, she's down on the books now, but between you and me and the gatepost, Mr. Elvin, she don't know debit from credit. 20 nick a week and a chassis like. Well, you know how it is.
Oh, yes. We're both men of the world.
We all like a bit of crackling.
Well,
Maybe not.
Mr. Dixon, now, this account of your wife's, now, there's a balance of approximately £1,500, and most of it deposited within a period of 12 months. Now, how does she account for that?
I don't know, I ain't asked her. It's this old cob's fault. 200 nick a year for sitting on his backside doing nothing, and now he's dropped me right in it, right up into the eyes. He should be answering all this.
Yes, well, forget him. Let him go. He's an unqualified man, and he'll get you into more trouble than he'll get you out of. And now he's gone. That will help our case.
Oh, how so?
Well, don't you see? Don't you see? You can tell the inspector that the moment you realized things were wrong, you went to a properly qualified man. That'll be a point in your favor. Well, there's a lot we can blame Cobb for, and now he's gone, he won't dare show his face again to refute it. That'll be our line of defense, Dixon.
Toby, please. Everybody calls me Toby.
Oh, do they? Oh, well, that'll be our line of defense, Toby. You see, you're an ignorant man.
Eh?
You don't understand paperwork. You don't know a balance sheet from a laundry list. You sent everything to Cobb. Everything.
Yeah, that's it. It's all Cobb's fault.
Even your annual return form. You always signed it blank, sent it along to Cobb, trusting him to fill it in properly.
The way I trusted that man.
Was it your fault if he never asked you any questions?
You know, Mr. Elvin, I feel better already.
Good. Well, then you'll send that 300 guineas in the morning.
I will. Scout's honor.
Splendid. Jolly good. Oh, Toby, there's just one thing. If I were you, I wouldn't mention Miss Robbie. Not in that way. It's always best to keep sex out of it, you know, where the revenue's concerned. It just seems to upset them, and it won't help your case. They're all rather moral men. A bit stodgy. They just don't like it.
I'll remember.
Good. Well, now we must get down to facts, mustn't we? You've been very frank with me, Toby, but at the same time, it seems to me that certain monies have escaped assessment.
Come again?
Well, you've been on the fiddle.
Could put it like that.
Well, I don't want to know about biscuit tins, wall safes, floorboards, diamonds, mink coats. All I'm interested in is money that is identical. Cash that's come to rest somewhere and is evident to the inspector in some kind of permanent record. Is that understood?
Yeah.
Good. Well, that's it then. Well, now, the first hurdle will be the interview. The inspector will be there with a colleague, and they'll take a note of all the points raised and the answers given. So be careful what you say. I'll prime you as best I can, but I can't anticipate all the questions that you'll be asked. Remember, you're an ignorant man, a keen businessman, but absolutely hopeless on the books. You paid Cobb a large fee, you had complete faith in him, and you assumed that those letters he sticks after his name to be recognized qualifications, and you're very surprised to find that they're worthless. And Toby, if I were you, I should leave the diamond tie-pin and the cigars at home.
Emmy! Emmy!
Coming!
Rubbish.
What is it?
Hey, you see me demob suit?
You what?
Me demob suit, the one the General gave me with the golden handshake.
You think I keep old clothes hanging about the place for 15 years?
Marvellous, eh? Just when you want. Here, how do I look in this?
What have you got that old thing on for?
Well, I can't go dressed up in all my finery now, can I? What do I look like? I ain't got a suit there under 40 guineas.
Well, you can't go in that. They know you got money, Toby.
It's the impression, girl. Man can't turn up for a job like this looking like $1 million now, can he?
There's a scarecrow in the barley field.
I'd look great in that outfit, wouldn't I? Frock coat and a pair of riding breeches with my tail hanging out. You shall loaf, Emmy. I ain't got to overdo it. I've got to look shabby, but Clean and respectable. But how? 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 Oi, Tom. Leave off of that digging with your son and come up here.
Yes. Thank you. We're on the way up. Now, are you sure we've got everything?
Yes, sir?
Remember, no mention of the anonymous letter.
No, sir.
You've got it in there.
Yes, sir?
Well, take it out and put it in your pocket. We don't want it falling out of the file. Now, leave me to ask the questions and make a mental note of anything significant. And, of course, don't let on that we've seen the squirrels. Right?
Yes, sir.
Good. Come in.
Mr. Gaunt?
Mr. Elvin.
How do you do?
My colleague East.
How do you do?
Yeah. And this is my client, Mr. Dixon.
Morning, gents.
Sugar, East.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Dixon, to resume. Even if I accept that you weren't aware of the existence of your wife's trustee account, that still doesn't explain the source of the savings, does
Well,
it?
you'd better ask her, mate.
I'm asking you.
My client is naturally prepared to make full restitution of the tax lost on the undisclosed interest.
How should I know what you say if a man can't ask his wife a thing like that?
£1,500 in just over a year.
Well, maybe she saves her wages from the shop.
Does she work in the shop?
That's what I said.
With 4 children to look after?
I've got a mother-in-law.
That's right, sir. It's on the claim for alliances.
Leave him to make his own answers, will you, East? Does she come up every day?
Every day.
In her own little car, eh?
I never said that.
But she does have a car.
You better look in the garage.
Are these your bank statements?
Yeah?
Well, I'll look at those instead. And here it is, right under my hand. Surrey County Council, £30. What do you say that is?
Rates?
Road tax for 2 cars. Make a note, East, will you? 2
Clever,
cars. And why not a car for your wife, Mr. Dixon, in these days? It's a sign of middle-class prosperity. Before the war, it was a fur coat. By the way, does she have a fur coat?
If she has, I ain't bought it for her.
What made you change your accountant?
Well, wouldn't you?
In your position, I think I should.
Well, no doubt Mr. Cobb felt unqualified to act in an investigation.
This is old Cobb's fault.
Ah, yes, Cobb, the intercontinental accountant, the man in whom you had complete trust, the man who filed accounts you didn't even understand. Is that what you're going to say?
Well, it happens to be true. My client paid Cobb to do a job of work, and he's entitled to assume that Cobb did it. He's a shopkeeper, not an accountant.
Yeah, I don't know a balance sheet from a laundry list.
But you can read, can't you?
Of course I can read.
Are you telling me these profits you have down here are a fair and reasonable reflection of your trading activity?
Now, my client is not in the position to answer that question.
No, the man's not an idiot, is he? He must know whether he's making 500, 1,000, 2,000.
I advise you not to answer.
No, I've got nothing to hide.
Yes, but at this stage...
At this stage, I'm merely trying to establish whether or not there's been a loss to the revenue. I believe there has, and it seems that you agree with me.
I won't sit here while you browbeat my client into making damaging admissions.
Browbeat? All I want is an answer. Now, just look at this trading account. Do you know the percentage it reveals, the rate of gross profit to turnover?
No idea.
18%.
Is that good?
Well, you should know you've been in the business for 15 years.
Turnovers, percentages, gross profits, you blind me with science cover. Don't know whether I'm coming or going.
By the time I finished with you, Mr. Dixon, that may very well be true. Now, I'm worried about this figure for living expenses. After paying your life assurance, you're left with about £8 a week. It's not much, is it?
We live very quiet.
Not as quiet as that, surely. £8 a week for a man with 4 children.
We manage.
Do you smoke?
Never.
Your fingers are stained with nicotine.
Proper little Gestapo, isn't it?
Well,
Picric acid, I burnt myself.
but of course you don't drink.
Never. Ulcers.
But you do eat.
A real comic.
How much do you give your wife?
6.
Leaving £2 yourself.
Yeah, that's it.
I can see you don't spend much on clothes.
Now, that's most unfair.
Coming here in his gardening clothes.
Now, look here.
This masquerade from a man who actually deals in clothes. But you forgot to take off your gold watch.
Sick and tired of this 3rd degree. Now, I'll tell you something, Mr. Gaunt. I slogged down for 6 solid years in the army when blokes like you were sitting on your backside drinking tea and dreaming of your pensions. I come out with sore feet, a mob suit and a gratuity of 60 quid. But I didn't go in the civil service. Oh, no, I had a few more guts than that. What I did is just borrowed a few quid from me old man, and me and my wife set up in business and worked like stink. We got a bit of capital behind us, and do you know what we did then? We put it all back in the business. We took a risk, mate. Something that you and your mob don't understand. You just want to lick the cream off when some other bloke's made it, and I'm the fellow who pays your wages, and don't you forget it. You just want to put me out of business.
Of course we don't want to put you out of business. You're going to be one of our best customers.
Now, take it easy, Toby. Take it easy. Have a glass of water and you'll feel better. Come on now, come on. You drink that. Now, just you relax. All right? My client is rather distressed and nervous.
I don't blame him.
All right, Toby?
Now, shall we resume? £6,000 accumulated over 3 years. Mr. Dixon, are these shop takings?
No.
Now, just look at these bankings. Regular bankings in round sums, and especially big bankings at Christmas and springtime.
So what?
Well, I should have thought it was obvious. They're the big seasonal sales. Look at this figure, £800 in April. What is that, spring sales?
No. Spring meeting.
What?
Epsom.
Can't we settle just one back duty case without this yarn about betting wins?
Well, it happens to be true.
And the large Christmas bankings?
Over to Sticks Boxing Day meeting.
Your client could withdraw the story at this stage. I'd be willing to expunge it from the record of the interview.
Oh, I said betting wins, I mean betting wins.
I see. Mr. Elvin, I think this investigation should start in 1946.
1946? It's 15 years.
The year you began in business.
Oh, yeah. A bloke in the pub told me 6.
I thought you said you didn't drink.
Infamous a trick, do you?
Taproom lawyers, you tell your barfly pals the 6-year limit doesn't apply where there's fraud or willful default.
Fraud, willful default. Those are rather strong terms, aren't they?
Mr. Dixon, do you persist in the story of betting wins?
Yes, I do.
Then I'd better put you in the picture as far as my department is concerned. We don't dispute that punters enjoy occasional wins. What we do dispute is that they make large sums consistently. The bookies make a profit, and that means that the losses are more than the gains. Now, if a taxpayer persists in this story of betting wins, we assess the deposits as trading receipts and leave him to appeal. Take his case to the commissioners. And I can assure you, Dixon, the commissioners won't accept a story like that without evidence to support it. Bookmakers' accounts, for example.
Comes to me as soon as he says it. Betting wins, he says. You've got to have evidence to support a yarn like that. Bookie statements.
Don't look at me, chum.
Hokey, you still work for Guppy, don't you?
Yeah, look, Toby, what you need's a real accountant, not a turf accountant.
I've got a real accountant. 300 guineas worth. I'm right down the pan. I ain't coming up with no lily in my hand, neither. Not without help. I've got to show proof of 6,000 or 7,000 quid's worth of betting wins. I've got to have that proof somehow.
Guppy's a real fly boy. He'd never stick his neck out like that.
I'm not asking him to stick his neck out. All I want is 50 of them blank statements of his. You know, the printed things he sends out with the credit bets. I'll do the rest.
That's too dicey. Suppose he got back to Guppy.
I suppose he did. Can't help it if somebody knocks him off, can he?
Knocks him off?
That's where you come in.
That's too dicey by half, mate.
50 quid.
Let me get this straight. All you want is 50 blank statements, and I don't have nothing more to do with it. All for 100 nicker?
All for 100 nicker.
Cash on delivery?
Yeah.
Toby, old son, you just done a deal. You see me in here tomorrow night, mate.
Good boy.
Elvin?
Good morning, sir. What's in the news?
Oh, they're all on strike again. Why don't we go on strike, East?
You will, when you've seen these.
What's that?
A batch of bookies' accounts. Toby Dixon sent them.
He wouldn't dare.
He would. They look all right, too.
That's how they go. William Guppy, turf accountant, and account for T.F. Dixon. East, have you checked these?
Yes, sir. I've been out to Tyburn district. That's where he's assessed.
But there are about 30 monthly accounts here, going over a period of 3 years. And some astonishingly big winnings.
About 7,000 quid.
7,000 quid.
They seem authentic.
Something new about the appearance.
New, sir? They look pretty grubby to me.
So grubby, he's creased them up well. And you can see when he's rubbed them round the floor. It's not the kind of discoloration you get with age.
There's even a bit of egg stuck on that one, sir.
Oh, he's quite an artist, our Toby. Did you notice the string cufflinks? Sit down, East. This is serious. Now, let's take it from the beginning. As I recall, there was no mention of betting wins until I'd got him into a corner. Now, this is the point. He had plenty of time to discuss it with Elvin, and if he had 7,000 quid's worth of evidence, he'd have produced it to Elvin, and Elvin would have produced it at the interview. It's a complete answer to our charges. But he didn't. Why?
Because it wasn't in existence?
Of course it wasn't in existence. He's cooked it up since. Now, there's something fundamentally wrong here, but I can't quite place it.
Well, we can check the runners, sir. I have here a last year's form book.
You're improving, East. Now, it's too much to hope for that a wide boy like Toby would slip up on a thing like this, but let's try it. Let's take one at random. August. Brighton meeting. Preston Park Handicap. What won it?
Cabbage White.
Price?
11 to 2.
According to this, Toby backed it at 30 to 1. Now, let's try another one. Still in August. Newmarket. Grantchester Stakes.
Grantchester Stakes. Red Admiral, 7 to 4.
According to this, Toby backed it at 40 to 1.
40 to 1.
Well, there you are. There's the answer. The odds are fantastic. Besides, what little bookie would let a man win £7,000 in 3 years? In practice, they don't even let him enjoy a consistent winning streak. They tell him to bet elsewhere.
Can we prove all this?
We don't have to prove it. I'm going to call his bluff. You get Toby and Elvin up here and make it soon.
Right, sir.
Bookmakers' accounts.
Yes, bookmakers' accounts. I may say my first reaction was to withdraw from the case.
Well, you see, I thought it was the best, miss.
What, to actually send documents to the inspector without consulting me?
You see, but I just thought it was...
Well, it's stupid.
All right, 11 o'clock.
And unethical.
Tomorrow, is it?
Yes, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, sharp.
Righto. You
And
see-
I advise you to be very careful. Very careful indeed.
Oh, well, Mr. Elvin, you see, what I was trying to... Mr...
Is anything the matter?
Drop dead.
Toby.
Oh, shut up.
Now, I'd like to get this absolutely clear, Mr. Elvin. Is this the first you've seen or heard of bookmakers' accounts?
Yes.
Did Dixon, prior to the interview, ever mention betting winnings?
I'm here to represent my client, not to be cross-examined by you.
But you are a professional man. You wouldn't wish to be associated with a piece of trickery. Now, look at them. Study them. Wins up and down the country. Fantastic odds. 20, 30, 40, even 50 to 1. Hardly losing bet in 3 years. Now, come, Mr. Elvin, let's not be naive. Are you telling me those are bona fide betting accounts, are you?
Well, I think in the circumstances, my client had better answer that question.
Well, I'll put it to him. Dixon, are those accounts bona fide, eh?
Bona what?
Bona fide, are they on the level?
Sure as I sit here.
Did you write them?
Certainly not.
Did you pay Guppy to write them?
No, I didn't.
Mr. Elvin, I don't think your client appreciates his position. Would you care to put it to him?
Well, I hardly
I'm
think...
asking you to put a hypothetical case.
Oh, very well. I'll go as far as this. If documents known to be false are presented to the revenue, the party places himself in a most dangerous position.
You hear that, Dixon? A most dangerous position. Your own accountant advises you to admit their falsity.
I never said that.
Well, it comes to the same thing. They are false.
Well, if you're so cocksure, prove it then. Prove it.
You stick to your story.
Like glue.
Very well, stick. Let's relax, and I'll try and put the whole thing in perspective. Now, there's a touch of a comic about all back duty cases. I suppose it's the cat and mouse element. The revenue puss leaping in perpetual pursuit and never quite getting its claws in. It's a game that started with the imposition of the first income tax. It's developed its own rules, and it's played on both sides with a dash of good humor, a bit of give and take, and a degree of cut and thrust. In the end, the bad boy pays up, the slate is wiped clean, and the state has no further claim. But there are rules. If the defaulter aids the investigation, then in practice we don't hunt too hard. But if he obstructs it, if he tries to hide behind a web of lies, deceit, and fraud, then we use every weapon that's available to us. And the particular weapon in your case, Dixon, would be a criminal prosecution under the Perjury Act.
Criminal prosecution?
Imprisonment as well as a fine. Now think carefully. It's no use relying on Guppy.
You'd go to Guppy?
Oh, yes. He's assistant Tyburn district. I could appeal to my colleague down.
I see.
Even if he falsified them for you, we'd surrender our rights against him in exchange for an admission.
Got all the trumps on you.
Now, I'm going to question you again. Think before you speak. Take your time. Are those betting accounts false?
Yeah.
Did you write them?
Yeah.
Are the bankings in the Marylebone account shop receipts?
Yes.
Wakey, wakey. It's a lovely morning and the birds are singing and there's a couple of nice kippers for your breakfast. There. Look at that lovely sunshine. Come on, boy, rally round.
Rally round. Oh, never end.
Well, boy, it's the day of reckoning. One more cosy chat with old Gaunt and it's all over.
Except for the payoff.
How much will it be?
£7,500 and it don't stop there neither.
I don't get it.
I've told you, Emmy. I've got to pay a penalty. Got to make old Gaunty an offer and a good one to stop him putting me in the nick.
Well, here's your togs.
He togs. I think they used to call me the Bow Brahmin of the Charing Cross Road. No. 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 No!
So you're retiring in a day or two, Mr. Gaunt?
Yes, 40 years in the Revenue Service. Does Dixon know the drill?
Oh, yes.
He's late.
He'll be here on time. I hope.
Good morning, gents. Oh, what a lovely morning it is, isn't it? Well, shall we resume? I hear they're putting you out to grass, Mr. Gaunt.
Yes, 40 years.
Gaunt's last case, eh?
It is that.
Out in a real blaze of glory.
I believe your professional advisor has informed you of the significance of these computations.
Yeah, I know what the damage is, if that's what you mean.
The loss to the revenue in tax and surtax amounts to £7,500.
Mr. Gaunt, do you smoke cigars?
On occasion.
Well, ain't this an occasion?
Well, perhaps it is.
In that case, won't you join me?
Thank you.
Mr. East.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Elvin?
No, thank you, not for me.
I think you'd enjoy those, gents. 15 and a tenner each.
You're looking very prosperous, Mr. Dixon.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Gaunt. Here, just feel that material. Set me back 40 guineas, that suit, and I've got a dozen more hanging up in the wardrobe at home.
I hardly
What a
think-
lovely home it is, full of real good stuff, I tell you. I've got a Chinese carpet there, set me back 400 guineas. Telly in every room, real modern antique furniture, the lot.
All this reckless
Oh,
talk...
really, Mr. Elvin, forget it. I'm sick of the old game. I'm sick of coming here shabby pretending. Tell you something, Mr. Gaunt. This case is stuck in my craw, and it weren't nothing to do with money. And yesterday I realised what it was. I've been to this office 4, maybe 5 times. Each time I've walked out through that door, I felt about 3 foot high. I've sat in this chair and I've talked a load of bull about not smoking and drinking, about giving my wife a few miserable quid a week. I'll tell you something, Mr. Gaunt. I'm proud of what I've done. I've started from nothing, and I've built up a very big business. And don't let any man tell you that Toby Dixon is a flop, because I'm proud of what I've done, Mr. Gaunt. Proud.
We are here today to consider the offer you're to make in settlement. I've already explained that mere restitution of the tax lost is not sufficient to close the case. You've made yourself liable to penalties under the Income Tax Act, and we can, if we so choose, proceed against you for the full amount of those penalties, to say nothing of any rights that are open to us under the Perjury Act.
Yeah, you got the whip.
We have full power to mitigate those penalties. At some stage in the investigation, I'd like to place a case within one of several categories. Genuine error, pure carelessness, negligence, deliberate fraud. Now, there's not much doubt which one you fall in.
I've been a bad boy.
Yes. And there are certain other factors that I have to take into consideration. Has the defaulter aided or obstructed the investigation? What is his present financial position? Has he withheld important information?
Like Chinese carpets.
Exactly. I must also point out that I have no individual power to accept an offer. All I can do is to make a recommendation to the Board of Inland Revenue, and the board will either accept it or reject it.
Well, what offer had you in mind?
A penalty of 100%.
What? 100%?
I don't get it.
Well, you owe the revenue $7,500. That means to say that you have to make an offer of $15,000 in settlement.
15,000?
Well, don't forget you had the use of our money. You built up your business on it. You can hardly expect to found your future success at our expense. And don't forget the money the government's lost in compound interest.
All the same.
I still can't say what attitude the board will take. They may decide on a criminal prosecution as a matter of public policy. Fraudulent evidence, you know.
And a penalty of 100%. I mean to say, that's savage.
It's not my business to advise your client, but I will express a candid opinion. Anything less than 15,000, I think the board will prosecute.
Well, I couldn't advise it. Pay it, Kingsman. Toby.
Mr. Elvin, pay it.
Is that your decision, Mr. Dixon?
Yes, Mr. Gaunt, it is.
Well then, Mr. Elvin, you'll make me a formal offer in due course. Mr. Dixon, it's been almost a pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Gaunt. And I do hope you enjoy your retirement. Good day. Steve, no absence. If old Gaunty thinks he's got Toby Dixon on the floor, he's got another thing coming. Anything less than 15,000, I think the board will prosecute. I'll tell them what they can do with that 15,000. They can give it to the civil servants for their next backdated pay increase. After the pay polls, of course.
I think we'll keep the windows open for a while. It doesn't smell quite right in the revenue office.
Well, as Toby said, you are certainly going out in a rare blaze of glory.
A full 100%.
Enormous, isn't it?
Best I've ever done.
The board may not like it.
Who cares? I shan't be, huh?
Funny chap.
Yes, it's strange how a man's pride will assert itself. He couldn't bear to play the unsuccessful businessman. Had to speak his little piece.
I rather admire him for it.
Oh, so do I. I despised him up till then. But that little outburst cost him about 2,000 quid. I was just about to suggest a 75% penalty. You know, I can't help wondering if there's something we don't know. He accepted that very quickly, eh? Hardly a quibble. 15,000 sounds all right when you say it quickly, eh? But I wonder.
Well, I suppose I'll be hearing from you, Mr. Elvin.
It's a lot of money, Mr. Dixon.
Don't worry. Old Toby will find it.
I could arrange for payment by installment.
There's no need to do that.
What? You mean to say you'd pay it immediately? Not all of it?
On the nail.
Well, Toby, you wouldn't pay cash.
Of course I'll pay cash.
Well, £15,000.
All in lovely fibres.
But they'll wonder where it came from. And Toby, you're not supposed to have £15,000 in cash.
Don't worry, Gov. I've still got me biscuit tins.
Not more biscuits in.
Only 4, Gov. Only 4. Only 4.